Welcome to another edition of South Center's Chat. It's a great pleasure to welcome our guest today, Jackie Wilkins, the Director of Ohio State University Extension. Stay tuned, we'll be right back. Welcome to this edition of South Center's Chat. It's a pleasure today to welcome a regular guest on our chat, who's Jackie Wilkins, who is the Director of Ohio State University Extension and a Associate Director for the College of Food, Ag, Environmental Science. Welcome, Jackie. It's a pleasure to have you with us today.
Tom, thank you. It's always a pleasure to be joining you. I'm looking forward to today, especially we have a couple guests that I've brought with me. Bridget Britton, who's our behavioral health field specialist in agriculture and natural resources, and Courtney Warman, who's our program specialist for healthy finances. So we've got some exciting things to share with you today, and we look forward to having some enlightenment and awareness about some of these great programs that are going on.
But I'm really excited that these really specialized programs are underway and learning more about them as we move forward today. But first, it's all part of the larger entity of Ohio State University Extension that you lead across the state and even beyond. So it might help to just set the stage. You talk about the vision and mission that you have up.
Thank you, Tom. And as you said, Ohio State University Extension is really the outreach and engagement arm, the primary outreach and engagement arm of the university. And we do our best to translate research and apply it in useful ways in the communities where we live and serve. Our vision is to have Ohioans have the knowledge and resources that they need to actively engage in creating conditions in which they thrive. And our mission is creating opportunities for people to explore how the science-based knowledge, as you know, the research-based knowledge can improve their social, economic, and environmental conditions. So today's guests that I brought with me are really going to show how we've taken that information in the context of mental health and stress in one area, and the other in financial literacy, and how we, again, take that research from the university, apply it through curriculum and engagement with community members to help support increasing the well-being in their daily lives.
Absolutely. Well, it's certainly, extension is very broad in the kind of topics, and these things that you brought up that Courtney and Bridget are going to speak about, I'm trying to be a little bit jokester here and say, finance is going to be the first topic, I think, that Courtney is going to cover. That sometimes leads to the stress that we're going to talk about then with Bridget. So maybe we got it covered here today.
I think you're right, Tom. And finances is something that not everybody, and math is not always everybody's favorite thing. And savings can sometimes be a dilemma for many folks, especially if they haven't learned it earlier in their lives. So with no more further ado, I'm going to introduce Courtney and let her talk a little bit about some of the exciting things going on around financial literacy with Extension.
I'm excited to share a little bit about what's been going on in financial literacy within OSU Extension. First, I wanted to share that this week is Ohio Saves Week, and so it's a statewide initiative led by OSU Extension, and this year we've actually partnered with the Treasurer of State office, and so I'll touch upon that a little bit later. But as Jackie mentioned, it's our mission to take those evidence-based topics and to make them accessible and applicable to Ohioans, and so we do that with financial literacy as well. We have programs in our counties that span the lifespan. On our next slide, I've created a small graphic that highlights some of these programs. We have programs that start all the way as young as 3 to 5 in pre-kindergarten to older adults. Programs, they really target where individuals are at. And so for 3 to 5-year-olds, right, maybe we're not talking about taxes yet. We're talking about what money is, how we spend it, and what its use is in our life. And then as we move on through the lifespan, we with our Real Money, Real World program, youth actually get a chance to try on and make some of these decisions as young adults who are working and choosing where they're going to live and how much they're going to save. And as we move into adulthood, we have both general programs that are applicable to most everyone, such as Money 101 or tax information. And then we also have programs that target specific milestones that individuals and Ohioans may be going through, such as preparing for a home purchase or managing student loan debt. So we really try to find programs and meet the local needs of what's going on in the community and sharing that information in the best way possible.
And I was going to say, Courtney, with pre-kindergarten, I mean, that's the time to start, right? Because you go to the stores, they see things, they want it all, and understanding even what money means. I saw the most interesting video of a mom talking to a 2-year-old about what a dime was and a nickel was and a quarter was, and how much it was worth. And it's always fascinating to see how quickly they pick up on those things. And I know you're going to talk a bit more about Real Money, Real World here in just a little bit. But the idea of that simulated experience where they really figure out how much money comes into play every day of their lives that, you know, they really don't think about until they actually have to work through these modules and understanding the implications for it. So it's just, I think it's fascinating. People don't think about those things until, you know, they might enter into that crisis moment either with their kids or themselves. So it's great to see that we've got this lifespan model for financial literacy.
As Jackie mentioned, just wanted to share an anecdote. My favorite thing reading through the evaluations from Real Money, Real World, which targets 12 to 18-year-olds, is the realization and the feedback of just how expensive children are. And so it's interesting that young people themselves are like, oh, I didn't realize just how much went into, you know, taking care of me.
There's a lot of apologies that happen to parents during those role simulations. They're like, I didn't realize, you know, I'm not going to ask for that until later, or I'm going to put off having children because I didn't, you know, for a little while, right? And making good decision-making aspects of that. Not buying the Maserati, right? Thinking about buying a family car that's more, makes more sense.
For sure. And so, as I mentioned, really, what better time to talk about financial literacy than Ohio Saves Week? This is a local campaign, part of a larger campaign, the America Saves Week. And as I mentioned before, this year we have partnered with Ohio Treasurer Robert Sprague to promote and share information about savings and the importance of savings. I was doing some research leading up to this, and Bankrate each year does a annual survey of people across the United States, and they found that 56% of Americans don't have savings to cover a $1,000 emergency. And so when we are talking about savings and financial literacy, right, it is just so important because we want to be able to make sure that people have the tools and the resources to plan for those sorts of emergencies or even non-emergencies, right? Plan for vacation, plan for large purchases such as cars and homes. And sort of going back to Tom's joke, right? That sometimes talking about money can lead to stress. And so we have 2 live webinars this week, one happening tomorrow, February 23rd. And that one covers saving automatically and planning for retirement. And on Thursday, February 24th, we have actually a talk about saving during stressful times. So during the past 2 years, we've all been experiencing this community stress and how we can work savings and savings plans into those stressful times.
And Courtney, even if they miss the February 21st through 25th of this year, this happens every year, Ohio Saves Week. And then obviously through some of the resources you're going to share, they don't have to wait until February of next year. There's plenty of opportunities every single day, 365 days a week to engage in some of this.
Yeah. And so you can learn more about Ohio Saves at our website, ohiosaves.org, and events for Ohio Saves can be found at the fcs.osu.edu/events, as well as all of our events. As Jackie shared, we have offerings all throughout the year. And so if you ever have that financial itch, you can come looking there.
And the treasurer's been a really fabulous partner with us and recognizing the value of that research-based information and the impact it's having on the individuals that we work with.
I wanted to highlight a really sort of another cool statewide partnership that OSU Extension has. We partner with the Ohio Housing Finance Agency, and through that partnership, Ohio State Extension has 12 certified HUD counselors that help individuals, Ohioans, who are looking to, a lot of times it's first-time home purchase, but sometimes there are situations where it is not a first-time home purchase. And through phone-based financial counseling sessions, OSU HUD educators are able to walk them through that home buying process, talk about foreclosure prevention, and share resources and information that really help them to prepare for that first-time home purchase. And last year, we served 497 Ohioans who then went on to purchase a home through OFA's program.
And these are people who thought they would never be able to afford a home on very tight budgets. And the success that you've had in that area is really inspiring.
Yeah, it's really been a lot of fun, and hearing stories about concerns that people have had about working with their budgets with that first-time home purchase has been really exciting to hear the feedback from educators. And so to wrap up with financial topics, we have been sharing our statewide programs that are available. So this is in addition to the county-based programs that are happening all over the state at fcs.osu.edu/events. The next one after Ohio Saves Week that's coming up is about protecting yourself and your finances against fraud. And that is happening the first week of March. So if you are interested in learning more about what we're offering at the statewide level, you can learn more there.
Courtney, thank you so much. It's great that Extension is spanning the lifespan all the way across from the very early all the way into adult and even legacy planning. So all those aspects that you accounted for as you described your statewide program and then held out on a local basis as well. So thank you so much. Time is going quickly, but Jackie, I think we can turn to Bridget and her topic of the day, to how to deal with this financial stress, among other things. I know it's not only financial, but this is a fascinating aspect, and great to get that out here and talked about today as well.
Yes, thank you, Tom. And so, as you mentioned, Bridget's going to talk to us a bit about farm stress, and financial stress certainly falls into that, as do a lot of other factors. So I'm going to turn it over now, and she can talk about some of the exciting programmatic aspects of the work that we're doing across the state in this area. Bridget?
Thanks, Tom and Jackie. I will try to make it brief. This is a topic that I could go on about for a long time. But one of the biggest things of our Farm Stress Initiative that we are trying to do is first breaking down the stigma. This is a very difficult topic, not only just across the United States and all populations, but specifically when it comes to our rural and farming communities. We know as farmers, right, if they are, have a physical ailment, or they have a heart attack or something like that, a medical emergency, they're going to go to the hospital to seek treatment for that. But a lot of times when they're emotionally or mentally having some kind of breakdown or challenge, they're not going to seek out treatment. And they can only be their best self when their whole self is being treated. So we really are trying to break down that stigma for them through multiple approaches, and I'm going to talk more about that. But we're also building capacity through a lot of grants that we have been given recently. We have a grant with the Farm and Rural Ranch Stress Center, and the Ohio Department of Agriculture. And these are funded through the United States Department of Agriculture and NIFA. And we are thankful for that. And through these two grants, we've been able to build capacity, not only for trainers to help us train these 3 trainings I'm going to talk a little bit about, but also partnerships that allow us to give these trainings, offer these trainings for free, and to create new trainings for participants and people that work with farmers and in the rural community. So we're really excited for that. And on the next slide, I'm going to talk a little bit more about our 3-pronged approach that we're using to educate people around us that work in the rural communities. As you can see, the biggest thing that we are trying to do first is educate the farm service providers. So these are anybody such as, farm service agencies, local soil and water districts, natural resources conservation services, our agricultural natural resources extension educators, local seed dealers, anybody that you can think of that work or are on the farm with our farmers, right? They're the ones that interact with them most on a regular basis. They're the ones out there on the farms. And so one of the biggest trainings that happens to be my favorite training is mental health first aid. And that training helps spot people that take the training. It helps them spot the warning signs and symptoms of potential mental health challenges. It also then leads people through the process of what happens if the challenge worsens. And then what might you do if that challenge becomes a crisis situation? Through that training, you're not becoming a licensed professional. You're just guiding that person to give them the resources. As those people that are out on the farm on a regular basis, you are the ones that can spot if there is a change in their behavior. So we're really excited with that. We've partnered a lot with the Farm Bureau, with places like Ag Credit. There's so many other places that I can't even name them all in the time that we have. We also are working now to train mental and physical health providers and professionals, because once our farmers decide they're ready to get mental health treatment, sometimes they're intimidated once they go into the office and say, hey, I'm ready for help. And our mental health professionals might also be nervous about how they could treat somebody in the rural or farming communities because they're not as aware of what's going on. And our ultimate goal is to reach the farmers, but that takes a lot of effort and a lot of work on everybody's part. On the first 2 people, and especially in our extension offices, everybody's working really hard to make sure that we're providing the best services and experiences for our farmers in our rural community when they come in the office. But it takes a village to support our farmers in our rural community. So by being able to reach those first 2 people and providers, it just also allows us to find champions of farmers who are willing to share their stories and talk about maybe times that they were experiencing a crisis situation and got the help that they needed, and now can encourage other farmers to reach out and seek help.
And Bridget, I think that's so important because, as you mentioned, there's a lot of stressors that our agricultural partners and farmers are facing every single day that are kind of invisible to the rest of the world. And we're so incredibly dependent upon their knowledge, expertise, and commitment to doing the work that they're doing. And by finding some of those, farm service providers that they already trust and have conversations with, and doing the mental health first aid where people can actually recognize some of the signs and symptoms, we can really, like you said, build awareness, have those conversations, reduce some of that stigma, and really serve a population that is so stoic all the time, right? Mm-hmm. And so unwilling to complain when there's things that are really, really, on their minds and are stressors for them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Bridget, I'd like to make just this comment. Your slide down here in the left-hand lower corner, life can be tough if you go at it alone. Yeah. And that's very true for all of us, no matter what our occupation is. But having been a farmer, it can be rather isolated and you're in your own little world, and it's hard to reach beyond that sometimes because you think it's all on your shoulders and it all depends upon me. And it's hard to reach beyond that. So that kind of fits into, kind of captures the mindset of a lot of farmers and very independent. You're not farming if you're not pretty independently minded, and self-motivated, and I can do it, and I can get it done. And, that kind of approach is great, but it can lead to problems when things get overloaded and so forth. So it's great to see that quote there.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that experience, Tom. I really appreciate it because that's absolutely true. In our next slide, I'm going to share a little bit about this really great training that we've been able to collaborate with through the Ohio Department of Agriculture grant that we received with our College of Social Work in order to get Farm Stress certified. So if you are wondering what Farm Stress certified is, Ohio State Extension is really excited to offer this 3-module course where a person, a mental health professional, can sign up to learn about these unique stresses that the agricultural community deals with on a daily basis, right? Our financial, weather, insurance, all of those things. And it will better equip you to help work with farmers. You'll learn about how to start conversations with farmers. We'll provide a lot of tools and information for you. There's 3 courses. You get 2.5 credits, continuing education credits if you take at least one of the courses. If you take all 3, you'll get Farm Stress certified, and we're excited about this opportunity. So you can go to that website and sign up for any of the 3 modules or all 3. There's multiple dates and times listed. It runs all the way through August. So we're really excited for that. Also, our learning and organizational development team in Extension is working on an asynchronous course for this. So you'll be able to take this course in your free time. And it will be offered through Extension as well. And there will be more information about that to come. And I just have a couple of resources on the last slide. I know that this is a lot of information to come at you, but we have our Farm Stress website that really is a clearinghouse for all of the information for anything you can think of for farm stress. What to do when a hazard happens. Flooding right now is a really big issue that we're having. We have a blog that you can subscribe to that we have all kinds of information, promotional materials, when we do podcasts, when we do different events that we're talking about farm stress. So please visit that website. It leads you to a crisis line. We also have trainings twice a month for the mental health first aid for the general community that are free, thanks to the grant that we have with the Ohio Department of Agriculture and the Farmer Rural Ranch Stress Assistance Network. So we're thankful to have those. And then I also want to encourage you to reach out if you ever need support or help. The National Suicide Hotline is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you don't feel like you're in a crisis situation at this time, please put this in your cell phone so that you have this available at any time, not only for yourself, but for anybody that you may know. You never know when you might need this. So I appreciate you having me on today, Tom and Jackie. Thank you so much.
Well, Bridget, thank you so much. Very, very interesting. And just another comment, or maybe if there's a question here, you pick up on it. But, one of the things in our part of the world, and I think it's more widespread than even I realize, but is the conversion of farmland to solar operations. And in communities, there is a lot of different opinions, which creates some stress and some factors that farmers, whichever way it's going, if you're the farmer where they want the land, need the land, versus perhaps neighbors that see it differently, or, however all that factors in. But that's not a very specific, but I think that's just another thing that happens out here that maybe we don't quite recognize what kind of stress that brings along.
Yeah, that's a really great point.
I'm sorry, I was going to say, there's a lot of factors that you don't anticipate, and those different tensions and things change in real time and evolve. And Bridget's program does a nice job of trying to be agile and figure out what those things are and come up with resources that can address a variety of them.
Yeah. It gets to, a lot of farm operations are large enough that it's multiple family members, and there can even be differing views among the family members that creates that stress, let alone with neighbors and so forth. But I know our time is getting short, Jackie. I think that these are just great examples of the diversity the types of things that go on within OSU Extension and the kind of talent that we have to deliver these programs that Courtney and Bridget have talked about today. And we certainly hope that this is a means of spreading the word, that if you're seeing this on YouTube or if you're seeing it on a local public access TV or however, that you take advantage to reach out and let them know, or us, any of us that are on the program today.
And Tom, I would just say, this is an example of how Extension tries to be agile all the time to figure out what those needs are in the local communities. And so every community has a bit of different uniqueness to it. I would encourage anyone that wants to learn more about what we do to go to extension.osu.edu for kind of the general areas of our programmatic efforts across the state. But then you saw fcs.osu.edu as part of the state focus on the financial part of it right now. But every county, if you just put the county name in and then .osu.edu, you can find out what's going on locally and reach out to your local educators for both those things that you can find out what they're doing, and then to ask about or let them know about some of the additional things that might be useful for us to address in partnership with our community members.
That is so true. Extension needs to be accessible and responsive, and those are some of the values that we hold, and customer oriented, community oriented, and that goes for us here at South Centers as well. Although these programs that we learned about today, but we can put you in contact as well with the right people, and it's part of the overall OSU Extension network. So certainly a great resource, and ones that we're all proud to be part of, and doing our best to do the outreach and deliver as we find, as Jackie's pointed out, special needs to bring the resource to address. And certainly some of the things that are supporting Bridget's work with the grants from the state and federal level, we're certainly grateful for those, and familiar with that kind of a lifeline, if you will, in terms of what we do here at South Centers in terms of funding and what we do.
Well, thanks once again for giving us some time to share what we're doing with you, Tom. We always enjoy these opportunities to join South Centers Chat. So thank you once again.
Absolutely, Jackie. It's appreciate you being with us today, and allowing Courtney and Bridget to introduce their programs and themselves to a hopefully a wider audience on the internet, and ones that just happen to bump in along the way. But thank you so much for your time today and your leadership for Ohio State University Extension. So I see we're about out of time for this South Centers Chat. It's been great being with you. I hope you can look in at other programs on either the chat or some other on the YouTube channel that we support with these videos. Take care and have a great day.